Rina Naik. I'm an IMAGO artist member. We are here at the gallery today. I have a show coming up at the gallery soon. The name of the exhibit is Thinking of You. I'm a landscape painter. I paint atmospheric abstracted landscapes, and my medium is oil paint and cold wax. The exhibit is named Thinking of You, and which comes directly from this painting, which is also titled Thinking of You. To explain the painting a little bit, I would have to tell you about a little bit of a personal experience. I lost my little fur baby, Scotty, who I adored in December, and it's been a really hard time dealing with that loss because he was in the studio with me all the time. And so when I was back in my studio trying to get back into my practice, this was one of the first paintings that I painted, and that's why I named it Thinking of You, because he was on my mind as I painted it. So as I continued to work on my paintings, this is the second one in the series, and I did a couple more, and I took a step back to really look at the work, and what was emerging was, which was interesting, was that the horizon line was negated, and the way I was feeling in that moment, I could see that I was trying to reach for that intangible space that we have, that when you have lost someone you adore, or a fur baby that you have lost, you almost want to grasp them back again, but they are in heaven, and it's kind of like you reach and you kind of want to make the heaven and earth become one, and I could see that in my paintings. Later in the series, I started to work on a little bit larger scale. This skyscape is inspired from my plein air work in Truro on the Cape, and this kind of is also not only what you see, but how you experience the landscape. And I'm very interested in sensorial information on the experience of the place, and not only the colors and the structure of the landscape. To me, those two sides really need to come together, and they both inform my practice. So I wanted to share a little bit of my process. A lot of my work is informed by my plein air painting, and as you can see from the sketchbook, this is from one of the pieces that I did while I was on site at a cranberry bog. And as you can see, so I started with doing a quick sketch, and then doing a little value study, doing a little bit of a color note study. And if you could read it, you would see that this actually has notations about how it felt, what the temperature was, what color I was seeing. These are some little color notations. I have a little watercolor sketch, little palette that I carry with me. This is the other version of it. So that's one way to kind of, the plein air informs my studio work. Plein air is mostly about capturing the space and how it feels like, and what else we see there. And sometimes these little sketches could just be a simple sketch by just a color notation, and I would just note it down. So it depends on how much time I have, what kind of a fleeting moment I just happen to be driving by. So that's one of my process with the plein air. I want to share with you another of my sketchbook. This is a very special sketchbook that we received when I graduated from the RISD CE Drawing and Painting studies. And let me share with you what I do with my sketches that I sometimes do on site, and sometimes I come back into my studio to further investigate the landscape and the structure of the landscape and composition. So which is really important. If the composition is correct, it kind of does a lot of work for you in the piece. So as you can see here, I often sometimes also make color notations, and sometimes I start to add my own colorways that was not there. So it's a lot of fun. Sometimes, this is the other thing that I do, is taking some of my bigger pieces that I love and cutting them into smaller pieces, and actually trying to find even more simplified than the brush strokes and the palette knives. They just simplify it. So as you can see, and then this is like deeper detailed study of my paintings. And yeah, my sketchbook is something that I try to keep working on because it keeps me interested and intrigued. So these are some of my smaller mini series. They are a combination of plein air work and in-studio studies, and they, because of their size, they are like a quick thought. They capture. They are very fresh, and they are great size for investigating a landscape or a color. As you can see here, this one was a plein air, and some of these were studies. These were a direct response to the landscape. And this one was a sunset I saw, and I came home and I captured it quickly because in my mind, when I look at a color, I immediately start to say, is that a cad red mixed with a little bit of cadmium yellow medium, or is it a alizarin crimson mixed with that, and the color temperature. So it kind of is really fun at this scale to kind of capture some of these things that you see and experience. So when you come to my exhibit, I hope all of you can come, you'll see that there are some pieces that are moving away from the landscape structure into more of the freed abstraction, let me call it that. Because I know sometimes people look at my work and they think it's pretty abstract right now, but I see the structure of the landscape as holding the pieces together. And I'm slowly getting to a place where I am okay dropping that structure and exploring what new avenues that might open up in my work.